So, just a quick thought today about Genesis still. We may never get off Genesis, actually. But I wanted to return to the story, the unusual story about Cain and Abel, which we spoke about briefly, regarding where the first sin, or the second sin, I guess it was, took place. So, you have the garden, you have Adam and Eve and God in perfect harmony, and they mess up. Now, and they have to leave the garden, and then Adam and Eve give birth to sons, Cain and Abel. And like I said before, they both provide an offering to the Lord, one from the field, one from the flock. God rejects one and God accepts the other. I'm not sure why. And then the Cain, whose offering God rejected, gets extremely angry and murders his brother Abel. And so when you're reading Genesis chronologically, again, whether you agree with this stuff or not, I know there's a ton of people who think the Bible is just all made up, it's not true, it's blah, 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 it's not relevant, blah, blah, blah. Just humor me for a second if you think that. Because I'm explaining what the Bible, in some ways I'm explaining what the Bible, how it's meant to be understood and how it's misunderstood. So, the next story in the Bible, you have two brothers, and one murders the other one out of jealousy. And so when you're reading it chronologically, you have humanity in the garden, living in perfect harmony with creation and God. And then, like, 1 chapter later, 4 chapters later, the next story is where humanity has arrived. In a very short space of time, humanity is now murdering siblings out of jealousy. And God rumbles Cain. Cain kills Abel. God says, Cain, where's your brother? Which is actually, as I think about it, it's very similar to the Adam and Eve story, but that's for another day. He says to Cain, where is Abel? Where is your brother? He says, where is your brother? And Cain says this line. He answers God with a question. And I think in some ways this question remains present throughout the entirety of the Bible, and it's a question that the writer still asks the reader now, which is us. And it's a quite haunting question. And the question is, in response to Cain, where is your brother Abel? Cain says, essentially, I don't know. And then he says, am I my brother's keeper? And am I my brother's keeper is another line that's made it into like the cultural parlance, songs, I don't know, like albums, books, movies, am I my brother's keeper? But it's quite a chilling question that it asks of us. And it's really relevant today, I think. And it seems to be becoming more and more relevant. There's only two answers to that question, yes or no. Are you your brother's keeper? And in essence, it's saying, are you, or what Cain's saying is, am I responsible for my brother? And I think the answer the Bible gives is a resounding yes, we're responsible for each other. And I think when we look around at the world today, we want to answer that question with, no, I'm not my brother's keeper. And you see this a lot. You see this all the time. Often with regards to the marginalized people, well, am I responsible for them? No, I've got my own life to lead. That's one, probably a poor example. I don't think it's necessary for me to go into too many, to try and pick examples. I'm just going to let the question sit with you, the viewer. Am I my brother's keeper? Are you your brother's keeper? And that's the question in the kind of the second story of the Bible. And I think and I believe that stays present throughout. Are we responsible for our neighbor, or are we not responsible for our neighbor? I think yesterday's video was like 20 minutes, so I'm going to keep this one short. We're just about to hit 5 minutes. Yeah, so think about that, and you have your answer. You have your answer. You have your reasons. You can justify your answer, but I would claim that the Bible says, yeah, we're our brother's keeper. We're responsible for our neighbor. We're responsible for the people around us and their betterment, their flourishing. And this ties into what I've been saying in the last couple of videos about love in response to hate. We are responsible for them. And at the risk of extending this video too far, like, maybe that even extends to if I confront a racist with intolerant, toxic views, am I his keeper? Yes, I'm responsible for him. I'm responsible for his actions. I'm responsible for his education. I'm responsible for his betterment. We all are. And we can't just hate that person. We can't just hate, ostracize, and expel that person as a consequence of their thoughts, beliefs, and actions, I think. Yeah, maybe I'll leave that sitting. I might change my mind for tomorrow's video. Let me think about that some more. In terms of Lent, nothing's changed. I got up at sunrise I got way before sunrise this morning because of my kid. Jeepers, like an hour before sunrise. So that didn't really feel very heroic at all. I think I was halfway through a bowl of cereal when my sunrise alarm went off. Money's not a problem. Videos, meh. Yeah, what's this, day 12 now? Long way to go.